hand that will say, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine all the time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Ooh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 let it shine all the time.
Everyone will say, and happy Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa.
Okay, we're gonna sing. We're gonna do our traditional Kwanzaa song for you.
There are 7 principles for a better life. To find them, to know thyself, you have to look inside. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba is the way. There are 7 principles for a better life. To find them, to know thyself, you have to look inside. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba is the way. Umoja kujichagulia, Ujima Ujamaa, Nia Kuumba, Imani makes us one. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba is the way. Umoja kujichagulia, Ujima Ujamaa, Nia Kuumba, Imani makes us one. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba is the way. There are 7
We're gonna do the principles again, but this time we're gonna have you sing to us. So when I point to you, you say the principles. So it'll be Umoja Kujichagulia. We'll see if you know the song.
Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba.
Okay, here we go. Start with Umoja. Left side. Nia. Everybody.
Imani makes us one. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today.
Okay, that was okay. We're gonna do it one more time. I want you to sing it to us. Be loud and proud. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. Yeah. Come on. Everybody.
Imani makes us one. Oh yes, we need them so very much to restore ourselves today. Nguzo Saba is the way.
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 We're gonna do one last Kwanzaa song that was on the CD. What was it called?
Kwanzaa time.
Kwanzaa on the CD.
Let me say a little bit about the CD. I don't know if anyone or how many have it. I know my Mama Rose have it. But Minister Makalisi wrote every song on the CD. Randy, in all his musical magnificence, composed all the music. Although it wasn't live, he made all the machinery. He played the guitar and the drum and just on this board right here. I mean, something when I listen to it, because I've always said that the gift that God gave Randy was, was music, because the brother has never taken a music class.
All right.
And so that's his gift. And I have told every woman he has, if you don't make sure that he's in the music, you're going to have a problem.
Wait.
I'm serious. Big problem, because that's what God gave him. And so you got to use what you've been given. And so Achebe and Sydney and I helped Makalisi on this very tedious project. And I mean tedious. It's a little different when you try to go into the studio and you're not so-called professionals. It's very, very difficult work. A lot of dedication and time, and so this was our signature song on the CD.
And let me just add real quick that we didn't get a chance to rehearse with the brother, so he's working everything out right now. This is live.
We're at home, so we'll be all right.
Bargani.
I know we can do better than that.
Come on. Bargani. Ah, there we go. All right, we're going to work it out. Come on, Doc. Let's do it. Here we go.
Kwanzaa time, dedication time, celebration time for the African nation.
Yeah. One more time.
Kwanzaa
Kwanzaa
time,
time.
restoration time,
Restoration time.
Ujamaa time for the African nation.
Here we go. Sisters and brothers, our parents and elders, creator and ancestor, community comes together to celebrate our history, to open up the mysteries, to maintain our unity and praise our destinies. Kwanzaa time,
First fruits harvest time,
first fruits harvest time,
human progress time for the African nation.
Yeah. Said it's
Kwanzaa
Kwanzaa time.
Teach the children time.
Teach the children time.
Nation building time for the African nation.
Each year in December, we will pause to remember how far we have come, just how much we have done to liberate our nation, to raise a generation to be oh so clear how to use the next year. Kwanzaa time, dedication time,
celebration time for the African nation.
Yeah. I said it.
Kwanzaa
time,
restoration time,
Kwanzaa time.
Ujamaa time for the African nation.
Each year in December, we will pause to remember how far we have come, just how much we have done to liberate our nation, to raise a generation to be oh so clear how to use the next year. Kwanzaa time, dedication time,
Celebration time for the African nation.
Yeah. We said
Kwanzaa
time,
restoration time,
Kwanzaa time,
Ujamaa time for the African nation. Yeah. Kwanzaa time. Kwanzaa time. Celebration time. Kwanzaa time. Celebration time for the African nation. Kwanzaa time. Kwanzaa time. Children time. Kwanzaa time. Nation building time for the African nation. Kwanzaa time. 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 Kwanzaa time for the African nation. Each year in December, we will pause to remember how much we have done since January 1 is Kwanzaa time. Ooh, Kwanzaa time. I said it's Kwanzaa time. Ooh, Kwanzaa time. Kwanzaa time. Oh, Kwanzaa time. Kwanzaa time. Oh, Kwanzaa time.
Okay. So, well, no. Well, let me back up. I was asking if there was a planned song already. I didn't want to mess up somebody's plan, although I am thoroughly enjoying your plan. Okay. So, today's historical tribute is in honor of our principal of the day, our Kwanzaa principal of the day, Ujamaa, which is, who can tell me? Cooperative economics, right? So what does that really mean? Let's explore. Today's historical tribute is to a woman who was a local pioneer and trailblazer, businesswoman, highly intelligent, articulate sister who was an inspiration to many of us, and her name is Dr. C. Diane Howell. She was the founder of the Black Business Listings. So Dr. Howell was born on July 20th, 1950 in Washington, D.C. She earned a bachelor's from Barnard College, which is a private women's liberal arts college affiliated with Columbia University in New York City. She later earned a doctorate in clinical psychology from UC Berkeley. As a psychologist in the Bay Area, Dr. Howell believed that African American practitioners in her profession needed greater visibility. And so she launched a newsletter called Black Perspectives in 1984. So she recognized the great need for the services that she and her colleagues were offering to our community and wanted to make it even easier for our people to find them. So she said, we don't have this, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it. Later, she saw the need to expand that type of exposure to more businesses and professional people. And so she created the Black Business Listings. She, in 1989, at her dining room table, she sat down and she typed up the first issue of the Black Business Listings. And mind you, she had no staff and no capital. but she did it anyway. She did it anyway. Now, who can name 2 principles that Dr. Howell applied in her endeavor for the black business listings and starting the black business listings? What comes to mind? Just 2 principles. Right? And Kaumba, very important. People often forget about creativity in being in pioneership. So when people are pioneering things, when people are forging ahead with things, you have to be really creative to figure out not only how to get that thing done and design the project itself, but also how to bring it into fruition. And when you ain't got no money and you ain't got nobody to help you, you definitely have to be creative in whatever you're doing. So Dr. Howell held a firm belief in the promotion of African American businesses, and we could say that it was her nia, or her purpose, right? Because she put her whole heart and soul behind the work that she was doing. Congresswoman Barbara Lee wrote monthly columns for the black business listings, and she appreciated, she said that she appreciated it, that it provided us with a one-stop shop for African businesses that we might have wanted to patronize. So instead of having to run around and ask people and beat the bushes, we were able to pick up this one document, this newspaper, and find folks in our community, find the services that they were providing. And she worked really diligently. How many people in the room knew Dr. Howell? Yes, she was really amazing, and she worked very hard. She continued her practice as a full-time psychologist until the demand for the black business listings took up so much time that she just couldn't do it anymore. And she became a full-time publisher. So initially she was publishing bi-monthly, but then she went to publishing 10 times a year in 1990, which is very significant because that paper was not a 2-pager. It used to be a thick, heavy document, and she was constantly working to update it, get ads, so that she could keep the paper going. But she invested a significant amount of her own time, energy, and resources to make this paper a success. She always had copies of the paper to hand out. To many of us who encountered her, she always had copies of the paper to hand out, and she really stayed on top of it. And she also got it very widely distributed, so it wasn't just sort of a word-of-mouth thing. It was much like the Post, where she had kiosks, and you can go to different places, particularly black businesses, and be able to pick up a copy of the listing. And that definitely takes a lot of work to be able to set that up, a lot of planning and a lot of negotiation and work in concert with others. She was also the local coordinator for the Black Expo USA. So the Black Expo is a national event, and she was the coordinator for Oakland. And she eventually took over full responsibility of producing the event after the National Black Expo organization decided to take Oakland off of the list for having the Black Expo. So Dr. Howell said, oh, no, we're going to have the Black Expo in Oakland, and I'm going to do it myself. So she took a firm stance to make sure that we had that event. And she also did what she could to kind of raise the bar and next level the event so that it would be an even better produced and more multifaceted event that people actually looked forward to going to. So the legacy of the Black Expo in Oakland, we can thank Dr. Howell for that even today. She also established a nonprofit called SEEDS, which stood for Self-Empowerment Through Education, Entrepreneurship, and Dreams. And she figured out how to utilize the resources that she was gaining, as a publisher and the connections that she had made with other people and she used them to empower others. Okay, again, so she was giving back. Publicist Jackie Wright, at her passing, praised Dr. Howell's positive activities in the black community. She said, when people only see the violent crimes and negative news all over the airwaves about us, without a balance of the people promoted in the black business listings, she said, promoted in the black business listings and the Black Expo, they have a very short-sighted view of who they are, who we are, for people who are on the outside looking in. Dr. Howell's work was a light piercing through the darkness of ignorance. I like that term. A light piercing through the darkness of ignorance that benefited the Bay Area economically, socially and spiritually. You imagine somebody who, even if you don't have a need for the services in the Black business listings, to pick it up and just see that it exists in the first place, and then to be able to open this massive paper and see all of these businesses established by us, it feels good, you know. So that's a type of spiritual uplift, and maybe it's not the Hosea or the Bible or the Quran or the whatever you might be reading for your spiritual uplift and for your spiritual growth and development, but it definitely had an energy that helped uplift you internally just by being able to read it. A little more than a year before her passing, she wrote the obituary for Chauncey Bailey, who we know was a journalist who was murdered here in Oakland. And in 2009, she died from complications of pneumonia. She was only 58 years old. So very young woman. She did excellent work, and it stands as an example for those of us who remember it. And it also gives us an opportunity for reflection and about growth and expansion of our projects. So yes, the work was great, but where are the Black business listings today? Right? We have to think about what happened prior to her passing. So many of us will work without the future necessarily in mind, or we think we'll take care of that later. We'll take care of that later, but tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So we have to work keeping in mind creating sustainable projects, because we really do need the Black business listings now. Now I hear people talking about, okay, we should have this listings. I hear multiple people talking about it, and I do my best to try to connect those people who are all interested. But during the it would have been nice if during the building of this process, Dr. Howell had the resource of people that she could hand this to. So the responsibility goes both ways. Those who are building institutions and building things that need to be continued in our community, we have to be willing to teach and let go and pass on the reins. Right? We have to be willing to let it go. Those of us who are in the generation to take the ball need to prove ourselves worthy of doing so that those who are doing the handoff can feel comfortable doing so. So, couple of things just to keep in mind about the Black business listings and the future of our projects and sustainable development. What can we do to prevent what has happened to the Black business listings from happening to our institution? Right? And what may have prevented us from doing those things thus far? These are rhetorical questions that we want to ponder right now. And then also, how can we address those challenges? Thank you, Baba. How can we address those challenges? So I will close by saying that although those are rhetorical questions for ponderance, in this Kwanzaa time, which is a time of not only reflection, but of plan building and plan making, take the time to think of what you can do to contribute to the sustainability of the institutions that you may be involved in. Ashe, I pour libation for Dr. C. Diane Howell.
Good morning, Wosei. This is the time in the worship service known as the Litany of Sacrifice. And the Litany of Sacrifice offers an opportunity for us to return to the community a portion of that which we have received for the week. And as the young people prepare for the offering, I wanted to to simply add my voice to thank yous and to congratulations to us here at the Wose community. Even though our numbers are down after more than 33 years, we're still here, still sustaining ourselves through the support of members, friends, and community supporters. So in this year, this season of Kwanzaa, this season of closure, just want to thank everybody for those contributions. We will continue to need those that support as we move forward into the new year in 2014 with a greater and bolder agenda than we had for this year. And so as you prepare your sacrifices, this morning's inspiration reading comes from Philosophy of Enlightenment by Dr. Muata Ashby. And in his closing comments, Dr. Ashby says, this teaching provides a formula for the seeker of truth. Never be satisfied with what you are told, only with what you know in your heart. The search for answers begins with one's own dissatisfaction with life, the deep-rooted feeling that something isn't right, that this is not how life is supposed to be. Book learning must continue with a spiritual preceptor as well as teachings from within, using one's intuition. Look into meditation and physical purification. Explore the effects of diet on the mind and body. Note the changes in your ability to control your mind. Discover the changes that a chemical-free and meat-free diet will allow you to make. Find out why ancient sages warned against food additives and the effect of meat eating on your ability to control your emotions and bodily functions. Physically, in dreams or otherwise, you will know. Original sages such as Ptahhotep, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, said their teachings were to help us become like them, masters of love. The path from slavery to self-mastery may be viewed as follows. First, one must believe that one's deepest being is divine. Then, rising above earthly thinking and with the help of their mothering, loving principles, and the faculty of discerning friend and foe, the task is to practice mind. We must develop the intuitive and understanding faculty so that we may understand the wisdom of the teachings which will allow us to control the senses of who. So may the ancestors be pleased with that rendering. I thank Dr. Muata for this work. It's a work that I look to quite often for personal inspiration as well as a lot of information. And so with your sacrifices being duly prepared and collected, the lovely Sister Kara attends the altar, and lovely Sister Connie plays on the piano. Could we please stand for the reciting of the Litany of Sacrifice, please? And that's on page 15 in the black binder. Somewhere in your vicinity, there should be a black binder, beautifully prepared by Sister Tracy, Mama Fanya, and some other people. Page number 15, the Litany of Sacrifice. Let us recite together. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gifts that have been given to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the God of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you We will praise your name, O Amen Ra, for it is good. Umoja, unity. We shall strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kujachakalia. Ujamaa, collective work and responsibility. We shall build and maintain our communities together. Our brothers and sisters' problems shall be ours to solve together. Ujamaa. Nia, purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and development of our community and the restoration of our people to our traditional greatness. Kumba. Together, Imani, faith. We will believe with all our hearts in our God, our people, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Amen Ra. Kneeling pads have been laid at the front for those that may wish to come forward for a brief moment of prayer as I bless these sacrifices. The candles of the Nguzo Saba burns brightly on this Ujamaa day of Kwanzaa. And Sister Connie continues to pray. So good to see Minister Lizelle with us this morning. We give thanks for the brother. He still walks amongst us. Brother James, good to see you this morning, as well as so many others. Sister Oya and her beautiful daughters with us today, you know. Sister Yaya and Brother Rashidi. Good to see you all this morning. Holy One, we thank you for our lives. We thank you for making us human. We thank you for this place, we'll say, a place where we can come and reaffirm ourselves, where we can validate our thinking and our meditation, where we can relish and glorify ourselves in the victories and the great campaigns of our ancestors, the great buildings, the great engineering, the great spiritual concepts, the great work and research that went into that. We thank you, O Holy One. We ask blessings upon their spirits, wherever they may be, for leaving us this great work, for leaving us their knowledge and their insights, that in the meager years that we hear, we may find a path, we may find a blueprint that would help us to escape the cycles of death. Be with us, O Holy One, throughout this day. Bless each and every one that's here. Bless each and every one that sacrificed, whether it was within money or within time. Grant each and every one their most fervent need, O Holy One. Seal the sick, and the shut in. Bless our sister church in Sacramento. Grant blessings, O Holy One. Bless our minister as he travels abroad. Grant blessings and protection, O Holy One, and return him here to his family and to this place called Wosay. Bless the one that will come and share words of inspiration and motivation and encouragement and upliftment. Be with us, O Holy One. We come asking these things not in vain, but in the growing understanding and knowledge of our magnificent ancestors that sacrificed and gave so much that we stand here today enjoying the freedoms that we do. And in the name of the one God, the unseen one yet abounds around, through, and under in all that we see and know. Amen Ra, Ashe.
All righty. We'll say just before we have our Kwanzaa presentation, I'm going to invite Baba Minister Lizelle up front to say a couple words to us.
Abarigani. Abarigani. It's a blessing to be back in the house of Wosei. The devil tried to dictate that I wouldn't be here today. Number one, there were obstacles in my way, but I decided I'm going to do it anyway. Ashe? Number one, I'm just recovering from the first phase of surgery, and it's going well. And I'll do the second half when I get back to Mississippi in January. So I'm asking that you please pray for me. Help me to reach out and reach in to the God of my ancestors, and I will be okay. You know, Wosei, you're doing a very important work. I don't know if you know that, but to stand up and hold out the hand of my aunt to our people is very, very important. And keep on doing it, okay? Because like Mississippi is what is called the Bible Belt. You know, what that really means is that they take certain sections from the Bible. They're not experts in the Bible itself. They take certain sections, and they are experts on those sections that verify what they want to be. But anyway, pray for me. Pray for us, because God is in Mississippi too, by the way. God is everywhere, okay? So all you got to do is know how to reach out and reach in and ask, and it shall be given. So as I take my seat, like I said, when I got here, it was almost 11:30. That, you know, there's Les Brown said that we all of us have two voices that's talking to us daily, and that one voice, that elevated voice, said go in. No matter, go in and at least go in and apologize for being late, but go in. And that other voice said, are they going to laugh at you? You know, you can't make it. It's 11:30. So which voice did I listen to? I tried to listen to my higher voice. Okay? Ashe? And like I said, I really needed to come to Wosei. I need the energy of Wosei. I need the love of Wosei. I need the understanding of Wosei. So please pray for me that I stay as strong as I can. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm in Rotep, black people. Yes, sir. Huh? Minister Lizelle is a minister. So he was actually one of the founding ministers here. If not founding minister, you were like, I think 3 to 6 months away from being the founding minister. And when I arrived here back in the mid-'90s, it was Minister Lizelle, Minister Michaelisi, and Minister Greg, who was actually MIT at the time. So he was one of the only two ministers that I knew at the time, and really held down this community for many, many years until he retired and moved to Mississippi to the, as he says, the Bible Belt. And it's called the Bible Belt because they'll smack you down. You say something wrong. I was listening as I was setting this thing up over here, and I remember those days when I was younger. We would go on these spurts to church. We being our family, so we'd have like the 6 months that we'd go every Sunday, and we wouldn't go for 6 months. It was just something was going on with Mom's. You had this thing. I'm gonna go to church now. I'm just a kid. I just we go. We don't. I don't know. But there'd be these Sundays where she couldn't find something to wear, and she would this is not gonna stop me from going to church. And she'd figure out something to wear, and we'd be walking to church, and she would be lamenting about how the devil was trying to hold her back from getting her clothes to go to church. And so every Sunday morning, I'd be like, I hope the devil will just hide her clothes this Sunday. I just hope. She look good now, don't she? Today, I was asked to lead a dialogue. We're going to make it really quick. I'm looking at eyes on the clock, too, right? And so to talk about our principle for the day, which is Ujamaa. And so I try to put together a couple of slides to get us started in this conversation. And I want to share Dr. Malak Frangus. He does an annual Founders Day message. It appears, I think it's the LA Sentinel, I think it's called, LA's newspaper. And so it appears every year. And so I was going to read this for you because there were some things I wanted to pull out that are more than just about, black businesses. It's a little bit more than that. So he says the principle of Ujamaa teaches us to practice the ethics of shared work and shared wealth. And to me, that's a critical thing. That it's not only, that we just are going to support, but we share in the work that needs to be done. But also this idea that we share in the wealth. That the notion that wealth is not necessarily individualistic, but that we all should benefit from the businesses. That's a high calling for a business to not just be successful, but to actually encourage and allow other folks to benefit from its existence. That's a big deal. To uphold the right of the peoples of the world to a just and equitable share of the goods of the world. Right? So that goes beyond a capitalistic endeavor, which is about just making yours bigger, but then allowing other folks to share in as well. And the struggle to establish policies and practices, this speaks to how we actually encourage and enforce our government to do a little bit more than what it does. So we have a responsibility to establish policies and practices which aid and empower the poor and vulnerable, protect and preserve the environment, and create conditions conducive to a life of dignity and decency for everyone. So when we look around our community and see its depression, one of the things that we have to look at is it's an economic thing many times. So when we see folks who are struggling. I want to share, I teach a class. I've been looking to teach a class on economics at the school for many years. Finally taught one, teaching it right now. It's taking from the book Freakonomics. I had in mind economics. I like economics, blah, blah. But so the class is called Freakonomics. How many of you have seen this book or read the book? Show of hands. Okay. So great book. You haven't got it. It's just a fun read. Anyway, I share a couple of the disparities in both income and wealth. Some of this you should know, but I think the numbers are pretty striking, and they're pretty amazing. Household income, my students, I'm sure you're not surprised. My students are surprised to realize, you know what? Asians make more money than everybody. And we had a listing of, by looking at both Asian, male, so looking at by race and gender. So both Asian, white, Hispanic, African Americans, both male and female, that Asian men make the most, followed by, you could guess it, right? Who's next? White men, they still going to hold down a little bit. And number 3 is Asian women. They got to go. That's a nice combo deal right there. You got 1 and 3. That's not a bad deal. I remember reading some stat that said that that when you go to buy a car, that white men pay the least. I think it was followed by, they were looking at just whites and blacks. White men pay the least, followed by white women, and black men, which is pretty striking because we felt good in being able to pay lots of money for a car. We silly, though, anyway, but you see from this, just looking at household income, that, African-American households make half as much as Asian households do. That's just income. So income is about, as you, I think some of you know, income is about how much money comes into you. That's your flow of cash. If you want to look at it very simply, it's your paycheck, how much money you make. That's different than, which is actually more important, which is wealth. How much money do you have at any one point in time? It's not just money, but assets. It could be property that you own, stocks, bonds, etc. That's wealth. And so it's not really, we have, there's been an increase in our income, but not an equitable increase in our wealth. So we still, I've had my wife has been in real estate for many, many years. And when she first got involved, at some point, I just wanted to go see some of these houses with her. So I like going to look at houses. She was like, okay, another house we got to go look at. I'm like, it's exciting. And so we go to these households, and it would just stagger me how much money the house costs. And so I started having this other term in my head. It was like, oh, that's a 3-wife household, because you need 3 wives to pay for that house. So I need more than you, baby. I need like 2 or 3, yo. Or then she'd go do these deals with people, and it would just shock me that you're going to go buy a house that's, $1.3 or $2 million, and the mortgage itself, that folks had to work just to keep the keys to the house. Right. You can't even buy furniture. Right. But that's just income. That's because we have a lot of money. Some folks had money coming in, but didn't have the understanding of wealth that you don't have anything to support that. So when that job changes, oh, wow, it's tough. So wealth difference here is, as I said, even more staggering that, for whites, it's $625,000 total wealth. That's by family, by household. Whereas for blacks and Hispanics too, in this case, is $100,000. That generally means that you got a house and you got maybe a grand in the savings account. That's about what that means across the country. So huge difference. So when you're looking to go buy a house or you want to get your kids into college, that's right there. That's what you tap into. So a lot of us, if you need to go, make an expenditure like that, you don't have a phone call to make. You go for the phone and you can call on yourself, right? As opposed to being to go call grandparents, parents, hey, can I get some help? So again, using my wife as an example, that she's had clients for whom, they're going to look at a property with their parents because their parents are dropping $30,000, $40,000. She's had black folks come in and say, oh, my parents going to help me out. She's like, oh, that's great. Find out later on it's like $500. That ain't caught her fees, so. And she's not that bad. Typical black wealth. I have a couple of folks here that we've, seen that, use it as a celebrity, somebody who's, has got fame through either entertainment or sports. That's pretty typical. And all those places. I think that what's interesting to me is that there's something a little different, and that is that now there's this whole notion of young people acquiring wealth, but doing something more with it than we would see like 20 or 30 years ago. This idea of actually the word that's gotten to the lexicon is branding. The person like LeBron James and the Williams sisters want to do more than just make money in their profession. They want to become this kind of global brand. You see like LeBron moving to not the Dolphins, who was it? Miami Heat, because he wanted to expand his brand and people coming into the league and they want this marketing brand. I got to market myself because they're trying to do much more, and that's a positive thing. I look at when people talk about Jazzy J, my kids and I talk many times about music, and they say, oh, you must know this musician because, he's old school. And I go, well, who is it? And they'll say Jazzy. I'm like, Jazzy, that's a young dude. But he's probably like, I don't know, he's 30, I don't know how old he, but he's a young guy to me, right? Jay, see, y'all don't even know how to pronounce his name right. It's a J and another J on the end. So I'm in between, I don't know. Jay-Z. Is it Jay-Z? I think Jazzy J sounds better. That's another dude. I don't know. Yo, talk about some EPMD. See, just letters, you can get those right. Well, I like EPMD anyway. My point, though. It was EPMD. So, but my point here, black people, is that what's amazing to me is that they don't look at them as being necessarily entertainers anymore, as being a singer. Because they've expanded so much more in terms of, clothing lines, restaurants. They're doing other things beyond just singing, which is to me, it's kind of a new thing. And a lot of young entertainers and celebrities are using it as a blueprint and a map for themselves to extend what they do. So that's kind of cool. Buy black. Not as simple as it used to be. I remember we used to do our Kwanzaa celebrations, and we talk about, buy black. And so sometimes on this day, we might go and intentionally go to a black business. Intentionally go to a black restaurant. We do things like that. But it's become much more difficult nowadays for a number of reasons. One of which is you got Marcus Books. I used to live a couple of minutes from Marcus Books. I used to go to Marcus Books all the time. This is back in, the early 90s. It's a regular trip. Just go hang out at Marcus Books. Still there. One of the problems, though, with Marcus Books, though, is Amazon. It's hard. It's hard. Because you need a book right now. I mean, I need it like tomorrow. Marcus may have not had a book. Inventory issues, and it's going to be retail price. I can go to Amazon. I can get it the next day. I have to leave my house, drop my credit card in. I can probably get it used. There's a lot of options that you have before you, and so it's hard to compete against something like that. And now, of course, Amazon may be 3 or 4 years away. Now they're looking into utilizing drones to deliver goods. I mean, imagine that. I mean, imagine maybe 4 or 5 years from now, you go on Amazon, buy your book, and, it's like the Jetsons. Got a little drone ringing your doorbell. Here you go. Here's your jewelry. Thank you very much. But even beyond that, Marcus, in fact, published Stolen Legacy. They own the rights to it. They had a publishing operation kind of in the back. You really didn't kind of see it. But now, if you're an author, you can self-publish yourself on Amazon. You don't need the publishing press. And then you have, of course, this slow shift. It's not a dramatic, but a slow shift to things like e-readers. And so with that, the whole notion of having a publishing press, a physical printing operation, is sometimes not even necessary. So that changes a lot. It makes it more difficult for us. The superstore. If you go, I'm sure, Miss Lozelle, Mississippi, you see these all the time. This is in the South, Walmart is the hangout. It's like the combination of, the club and the library, and barbers. Pretty soon they got barbers in Walmart in the South, probably. Get your boo Walmart. Hey, them folks in Louisiana, Mississippi, they not hearing nothing you saying. They love Walmart. We had a birthday party for somebody down there. It was sponsored by Walmart. Fried chicken from Walmart, cake from Walmart. Does anybody cook the bacon anymore? Good Lord. So, but that's a big deal. So when Walmart, this is not just black businesses. When Walmart comes in, they suck out everybody. All the small businesses just go.
Boo Walmart.
Boo Walmart. But Walmart is making money. It's even the Family Dollar store. Family 99-cent stores.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all over the landscape. So my point in all this is that it's become a lot more complicated. It's not the simple piece of let's go invest our money. The whole notion that we've always had is that we create some sort of small enclave with a lot of black businesses and we hang out. This has never happened. And now so the question I'm raising for us this morning, transiting to this afternoon, is does buying black mean something different now? And are we stuck in an old model of envisioning what that means? Is there a need? Is that model still relevant and valid today? Is there a need for us to shift and begin thinking about it a little differently when we say buy black? Do we have to expand given that the marketplace has changed, commerce has changed? Do we have to change how we think about it and we talk about supporting each other? That's the question for us today. I will overlay that to say that even the folks who become successful, like Robert Johnson with BET, that if someone comes knocking on the door and wants to buy you out for X number of billions of dollars, well, man, why not? Go do something else. So BET, BET is not black owned anymore, but it's supposed to hold on. Could one of them something that bought it from for $1 billion? Probably not. So that's the question for today. Does it mean something different for us? Yes, sir.
Two things. Does anyone not want to be on the webcast today? Okay. So then I'm going to turn this on y'all, and y'all going to respond to the question.
Bob Sean.
Even though you're absolutely correct in what you're saying in terms of the global market and the dynamics that has brought in, but to me, the bottom line is still coming from a concept of powernomics that Claude Anderson put out. If we don't start thinking more collectively, then we're going to go under. Now, within that, there's two. When it comes time to get your feet done, you go into some Vietnamese person and she going to do your feet. They got a corner on that market, and obviously they're making money because the girl doing my feet goes to Berkeley. So they're making some money just doing feet. So a lot of times we look at certain businesses and say, oh, well, I ain't doing that kind of stuff. But that kind of stuff is making money. So I just wish that we could focus more on cornering certain markets. There's no more than getting the 7-Eleven like the Pakistanis or something, or getting these gas stations. We need to buy and think in terms of a collectiveness, even though we're still in this global economy. That's my 2 cents.
And I will add that one of the complexities for us is sometimes we're not comparing similar things.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we're looking at Asians or other folks from so-called Middle East coming in and opening up operations, we go, how come we don't do that too, as often?
Right.
And one of the points of comparison that's not quite fair for us is that we're looking at folks coming here who are highly educated in their homeland. They come here because of lack of language access. They have to create other opportunities many times. That's one thing. Over here, the corollary would be a person who has gone and done a master's degree in business or something like that, and can easily get a job here. You know, it's not that hard for an educated black person to get a job in America. It's not that difficult. So if your options are, I'm going to go, you know, be a manager at Walgreens, or I'm going to go be a pharmacist over here, versus I'm going to go open up a nail shop or run a 7-Eleven, it's just sometimes it's just not as attractive. So I'm just saying, just be fair on how we compare ourselves. That's all. You might know you next.
Well, all that is true. They do. Many of them have that collective consciousness in order to, like Brother Shango said, you know, corner markets and work collectively to build the businesses and continue to make them work. We can't discount the fact that they get government assistance, and that from the State Department especially, certain immigrant groups are targeted and given opportunities and a business plan from the government, on which this is something that you may want to get into. Like they went to in the Philippines, they told them that if you should start developing nursing programs, and you can get you can provide a lot of the nurses that we need over here, or motels from Indians and Pakistanis. There's a market open for motels that you can get into, and this will be very profitable and lucrative, and we'll provide you with loans that are lower in interest than we would have to get at a bank. So that's another side of this. Not all of it, but that's a factor.
And I'm certainly going to challenge us too, you know, because we do opt for the unfairness of the playing field to a degree. But I mean, I'll pull this graph up again, because if I had time, I would overlay this with the number of degrees issue too, and you can overlay these two graphs pretty easily, particularly in regard to Asians. That income didn't come about just by happenstance.
Right.
The number of Asians who are in colleges compared to us is probably a 3x difference. If you look at the UCs, for example, UC Berkeley, I know your daughter's applying to all these schools. Most of your UCs, UC Berkeley, Davis, UCLA, the black population is less than 3%.
Yeah.
Asian population is between 30 to 50%, and it's only at that because they start capping it. If you look at the Ivy League schools, say we're gonna hold you at about 16%, and we ain't taking no more you in. But they are getting those degrees that translate to having more economic success. So it's not just, you know. So give them a little credit too. They're putting this to work as well.
I mean, I think a lot of things comes to mind to touch on what Baba Shango and Baba here said. I think we also have to think that economy-wise, informal sector reigns in the developing world. There is no social services. You cannot go and apply for TANF or food stamps if you're living in a developing nation. So that enlivens you. You're thinking, I need to work to survive. And unfortunately, I think slavery, the system of slavery and Jim Crow, and just this dependency on white system, white wealth, or the systematic destruction of the creation of black wealth in this country. Like I think about Black Wall Street, or even what Marcus Garvey was doing in creating industry, which is organization that can sustain itself over time. That's what it means to become an institution, is to be an organization that can sustain yourself over time through generations. So I think one thing is, for us, we have lost a lot of the desire to do for self. We sit back and we're so complacent with looking for a job. Right now I'm in a tug of war. I graduate in May. If I stay in this country, I know I'm guaranteed a minimum of a $5,000 income minimum. What is that? Single mom, 2 kids, I don't know. If I go to Africa, what can I make? I have to create industry. I have to bring wealth. I have to come and set up school and set up something, some type of consulting agency to improve the functioning of NGOs and government agencies on the ground. I'm not necessarily going to have the guarantee of the security that American or capitalist economies seem to bring. So I think one thing is recognizing informal sector economy is a must in the developing world. So when you come to America, a lot of that mentality sustains, whereas in our community we've been so destroyed, we don't think that we have to fend for ourselves. We think I can go get an SSI check or something like that. I think another issue is the systematic aspect of this. We're talking about systematic destruction of black wealth, like strategically. Yes. And that is a big issue too. So not only have we been crippled from slavery as an institution that says no, I'm gonna feed you this. Right. I'm gonna provide that. For matter of fact, look, I'll put you in prison. You don't even have to ever worry about working a day in your life. I give you life. Just stay out of the economy. Because if you go to any university setting where the Ivy institution is in place, they're talking about the year 2050 and who's going to control natural resources on this planet. And it's really sad that we so asleep. So I think it's by design.
Right on, right on. Good.
I support wholeheartedly with the sister saying. It's that old saying, you know, that the land is ice is always colder than ours.
And the sugar sweet.
Planting seeds of African economics in an anti-African environment, anti-African soil. We're always going to be confronted with these challenges. And I think that we have to think broader than these boundaries that we put ourselves around. Because to me, a lot of groups that are expanding, I mean, they're connected internationally.
Yep.
They're land-based, right? And we have land-based, but we have not bridged that gap to make that connection internationally in terms of supporting each other globally.
Yes.
And I think that it's not an easy solution, but I think we have to have that vision.
Yeah.
The vision of Marcus Garvey.
And some would call it that's a cultural divide that we have. That culturally we're still despair from our folks outside this country.
So a couple things came up when we talk about Marcus. Many booksellers have gone out of business. Barnes and Noble tried to find one of their stores. Borders went out of business completely because of, like you said, Amazon. So Marcus also fell prey because of not just us not patronizing those businesses and the new convenience of these other businesses, but they weren't the only ones. That's what I'm trying to say. And even though if in fact we had turned our attentions and made even more of an effort to support Marcus, then it could have, I believe that in some ways it could have thrived a little more. Marcus also had a responsibility to evolve his business practices as well. When you see that coming, then it's time to say, okay, well, what can we do? What can we shift? Should we shift to an online marketplace model? Can we get out there and build relationships with Black publishers and African, right, exactly, and create our own network. So, you know, the responsibility was twofold. I think another thing, the thing overall that's coming up for me is responsibility, is resources. So yes, many of our households are making less money. But at the same time, we have a lot of consumer power, and everybody but us recognizes that. So we spend our money on garbage. The money that we do get, we spend it on garbage. We have our priorities all mixed up. We buy into the consumerism that is constantly shoved down our throats and promoted to us shamelessly, and we route our resources to junk. And I am not immune, because I just bought Care Bear I just bought Care Bear contact paper for my shelves, and I didn't have to have that.
No, you did.
That was not a necessity, but I paid a little extra, and I got this whatever. But you know what I mean. But it's money that could have been routed somewhere else. Yeah. That's my point. And also, thinking about when you do patronize a Black business. I am a staunch Black business patronizer. But how many times have I gone into a Black restaurant and asked, and they have 74 things on the menu, and they only have 2.
Right.
Don't blame me for not coming to support your business when all you have is chitlins and ham hocks, and I don't eat either one of those. You know what I'm saying? Or you go in there and the service is terrible. If in fact you are pulling somebody into your business to work and they have never held down a job, guess what? They might have a little trouble holding down this job. So maybe, just maybe, you want to invest in some soft skills training. You know, make sure that when I come in, you're not popping gum or digging in your ear or you don't have an attitude when I'm asking for stuff. You know, we go into other businesses and they have an attitude with us. We expect that. But when we go to our businesses, we're often making an extra effort and we look at them as family. And it's harder to have your family dog you than it is to have somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It feels worse because it feels like you ought to know better. Them folks, we ain't got no connection to them, so of course they don't know. And we're going to avoid as much as we can giving them our money. But if I'm coming to you, you're supposed to be my people. And I'm coming in here and possibly, you know, really making an effort to get over here and patronize your business. And you're not treating me right when I get there. So I think it's a multifaceted problem, but there's also responsibility on the part of business owners.
Yes, yes. And so we got like 5 minutes, so I want to remind us, begin thinking if you can. what does it mean when we say buy black? What does that mean now today? Okay.
I want to say that I'm in agreement with what has been brought forward. My concern is because of our history on these shores, it has been a necessity for us to be twice as smart, twice as fast, twice as strong, and I suspect how it plays out is we have to beat them at their own game. The way that when we got into professional sports, the way that you were speaking about Jay-Z, I don't hear any talk about us joining or even creating investment funds. If we buy these corporations that we are complaining about in blocks as a group, then we are buying black. If we have ownership, even if we own 3% of Target as a collective, we win. I don't think necessarily our tactics have to remain the same. You know, we are bright enough and creative enough and just that step ahead enough to, oh, so this is the new game plan? Okay, well then all of us have phones, our children have phones, our grandchildren have phones.
Yeah.
How many of us can say, oh, I got some stock in Verizon. I have some stock in a company that builds cell towers. We may not be thinking this to our best advantage, thinking about the ground floor entry level. Yes, we do need to provide services for ourselves. This is true. Yes. However, it's a new game. We need a new game plan.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh. So I'm just thinking about how I grew up here in the Bay Area, and then also I'm thinking about my history in Oklahoma. I think I mentioned before that the siblings of my grandfather were part of Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, and my great-grandparents were part of that. And then I think about my Asian friends that I grew up with. And what I'm recalling is that if I think about both my Asian friends and talking to like the janitor in the family, but you didn't know the janitor in the hospital also had business, a family business.
Yep.
I think about what I learned from my grandparents and their siblings or my great-grandparents is that there was a tie back to an originating country. In every case, you talk about Black Wall Street, if you look at what was going on there, there was a relationship and flow of capital from the Middle East and Africa into Oklahoma. So there was a relationship between capital that was flowing in and helping seed what was happening there. Same thing when I talk about when I was in college and talking to my Asian friends about like Chinatown and how that came about. Same thing, flow of capital coming from mainland China, people infusing capital to help something happen. So I feel like for us, for me anyway, part of black means to get back to what do we really mean about capitalizing on the African diaspora and really forging stronger relationships back home. And I'm talking about not just around culture and education, but I'm talking about economic relationships between those of us here and those of us in other places that have wealth. So that's one thing I think about. Second thing I think about is reparations. Because if I think about like where the Asians are here in the U.S., what was the impact of them getting reparations?
Yes.
How did that impact their ability to seed something? In addition to the capital flowing from mainland China or other countries. So that's something that I feel like I think about folks in Mississippi and other places trying to fight land loss still. Like I feel like we've lost the thread of reparations, and I would love to see us taking up that conversation more earnestly because I feel like there's a tie there.
Go on.
Let's take a couple more. Let me get somebody's going out.
Yeah, and so to Dr. C. Diane Howe, thank you for bringing her up.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yes.
that. And the whole idea of black business listings. The Will Say website does have a minor black business listing on it right now in the board section. And it can be supplemented by everyone here if you want to learn how to add things to that list or modify that list, or you really want to put some capital in to really make that, what it could be, you can do that. And of course, everyone knows there's other listings online where you can look and find succinctly professionals and other folks who just do things, day-to-day things too. So I just encourage us to use those lists and to leverage ourselves online, because there's no reason to buy from Walmart if you can order that same rocking chair from somebody else.
Go Cool. More at the young closers.
Yeah, I want to thank this sister behind me here because that was beautiful, and I think she really touched on what was in my heart, which is to have a discussion of economy. I think we're having this multi-layered discussion because the global economy is a discussion in terms of division of labor and e-commerce, and this whole, internet technology and economy is a discussion. But it's very important what she said, because land, like the basis of economy, is your means of production. And without land, without resources, how can we really talk about wealth? And it's very important. I'm just thankful. I just want to resonate that if we really want to have a discussion on Black economy is really eco, your way of life. How are we sustaining ourselves? And if we're so busy being dependent on a Lucky's or a Safeway or a Walmart or whatever for the products that we're purchasing, we need to be producers and not just consumers. So that's what we really should be shifting our focus on. I just want to thank you for that.
Right. I appreciate that. Interest of time, if there's one more person, we can close.
I just want to ask, what
Yes.
what was your source for your graph?
U.S. Census Bureau. They got all the numbers. There were actually some other ones I wanted to share with you, but we don't have time for that. Maybe we'll do it some other time. But I think this is, being this is the Kwanzaa season, this is particularly Ujamaa today, it behooves us to think about what does this mean for us. When we talk about buying Black or investing in ourselves, how do we go about doing that? There's a lot of ideas raised, whether it's making connections with folks on the continent, making economic connections, whether it's land-based here, whether it's investing in so-called European companies that we support right now. You can go buy stock, that'd be one option. Whether it's having our own businesses take responsibility for expanding and actually being better at serving us in this new economy. So a lot of things that I think this discussion is going to raise up that we got to begin thinking about. Pam, I asked Mama just to come and close this too, please. No. Mom, Pam, you can speak.
Oh, yeah. I just want to say, one of the things that you had mentioned in terms of the economics and the difference in education, and Ile Omade is definitely one of those institutions that we're raising our children and educating our children in order to raise the bar, being able to challenge world economy. And Friends of Ile Omade is also a vehicle by which we use in order to sustain us being able to purchase books, to be able to bring to our children the best technology, the best resources that we have. So when you begin to think about doing your income taxes this year, one of the things you may want to do is you need a tax write-off. Please write that check to Ile Omade.
Ashe.
Now, for African Addict, it gets a little deep. Isis, I heard you got into Howard University, is that right?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
You got surprised, like, Why you hear about that? But I think it gets another level deep in terms of the school, because as you invest in the school, and these kids hopefully grow up, they raise up, they become scholars, and they in turn can then go on to college for free. They don't pay anything. And hopefully they'll use what they learn in school to go generate some business. So a lot of investment all around. I'm going to close.
All right. Let's have a round of applause for Baba Josh. And this is the time where, in our service, where we invite you to join us in our work. If you would like, know that the doors of Jose are always open to you. Jose is a community of people, and we couldn't do what we do without you. So if you would like to join us formally, please feel free to come forward at this time. And if you don't feel like doing so today, know that the doors are always open. All righty, so we're going to have our formal closing. If we could come forward. And in the meantime, quick announcements. Please limit your announcements to approximately 30 seconds. You know, I'm kind of time-based. So if there are any announcements, I'll make a quick announcement. The registration for our women's retreat is closed, and those of you who have signed up, I have a note for you, so please make sure that, yes you did. But so please make sure you see me after service, okay?
There is the first pages of the January newsletter that has some information in it. The open post, and also there are a couple of handouts for the Kwanzaa Spirit
just to repeat for people who are online, the listing for the Kwanzaa's in the Bay Area and the newsletter. The Pan-African Affairs newsletter is available on our website, wosecommunity.org. And I think the link to the Bay Area Kwanzaa listing is in the Pan-African Affairs newsletter. All righty.
I have an announcement.
Oh, Bob Schenkel.
Okay. I'm Bob Shango. I'm the Commissioner of Economic Development. And the presentation today is right in line with January the 18th. There's going to be a financial workshop given here at WOSE. So all this talking about investing in stocks and bonds, this will be your opportunity to come out and participate. And one of the other projects that's being worked on within my particular commission is to developing or revising or bringing forth a black directory of businesses. So that's one of the key projects that's being worked on along with this financial workshop. And also, I'd like to look forward to getting a health fair here. And the sister who did it before, I wish she would step up to the plate and help us out again.
Get my bowl here too. Right there.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay, excellent. Well, that's my announcement.
All right. Any other announcements? All right. Sister Connie's on the piano, and we'll start with Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
And now to those upon whose shoulders we stand and have stood for countless generations, those who have reminded us that we are one people, having one faith, one aim, and one destiny. Let us call that name that we have called from time beginning. You are the most beautiful people on the face of this earth.
Yes, we are.
Somebody bought a beautiful pot of spaghetti. We need to know what kind of meat. Turkey. Thank you.
Any birthdays? Any birthdays? No birthdays. Is it your birthday? Are you?
No, it's not my birthday.
Okay.
I had a birthday 2 weeks ago, the 15th. I love the vegetarian.
And he's the 19th.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Oh, they go still take the dirt and hide it.
Did you see Ty's email about that program, the BK?
Yeah, the BK. Well, I'm BKC.
That's it, BKC.
The DC.
All right.
Yeah, I saw that. So, so as soon as we get no favorites, What I'm at right now is working on some
In terms of the late sign-up.
I can get about 4, and